All right, guys, I'm back. So this is going to be the last update that I give on this official journey of a month or so of quitting mindless media consumption. And I just got to be real with you guys and tell you about how far I fell in the last week. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I really was doing great for the first couple weeks. If you go back to my earlier videos, as I discussed in those videos, my cat died. I totally overindulged on mindless media consumption, and it brought me to a point where I felt very repulsed by it. I was not wanting to do it. It felt very like, ugh. And that lasted for a couple weeks, and I was doing great, and I thought it was going to be permanent. It really felt like it was. And then uh, all this stuff started happening politically in the US, and it came up on my algorithms in my feeds, and I dove right in. It was extremely stimulating. It was just, these are things that are happening that impact me, and I got hooked. It trapped me. And looking back, I'm a little, I think, grateful for it. And this is kind of how I move throughout my journey and my healing. Whenever I fall, like, I just learn from it, and it was very illuminating in a lot of ways. And I think the big way is really realizing how addictive internet consumption is. Like, scrolling, looking stuff up, I became very sensitive to recognizing in my body and in my brain how it was impacting me, because I was like, really, I stayed away from it. I really wasn't on it regularly. So every time I did engage with it, I could really feel like the stress arise. I could feel that, like, you get sucked in really quickly. So what I was doing earlier was basically kind of getting on once a day. And that seemed to be working. It was working for a couple of weeks until things, really reeled me back in. And then I felt a little stressed, and that made it even easier to kind of go down rabbit holes. But I'm going to use like a smoking analogy here, because I think that what I'm realizing is any sort of like technological addiction, it's like smoking. Like, it's doing the same sort of thing to your brain, and all of us are very susceptible to it. I have struggled with addiction before, but I think anybody can have an addictive personality, and we can all get addicted to smoking. We can all get addicted to social media and the internet. These things are designed with that in mind. But for those first couple of weeks, I was basically, going back, it was kind of like I smoked an entire pack of cigarettes in 2 hours. That was how I was mindlessly consuming media, to the point where I felt repulsive. So, there's the knowledge, if you want to quit smoking, you can just like smoke a ton, like chain smoke very quickly in a very short amount of time, and you'll end up like throwing up and never wanting a cigarette again. And that is effective for a lot of people. It's kind of like pushing you over, into like a rock bottom territory, and then you kind of become awakened to how bad something is for you, and become very repulsed by it. So that's really the effect um, that had on me, and I was very repulsed by it. Um, but it's just like smoking in that, if you smoke a cigarette a day, if you engage in it in any way, you are going to be addicted. Um, Maybe there's people out there who really have a healthy balance and a healthy relationship with it, and I'd love to hear from you. If you're like, "Yep, I have no problem, no problem. I can completely control myself, and I never overindulge, and it's just not an issue." But for me, it is. I feel like for the past 2 decades of having internet, at my fingertips, I've struggled constantly. I've constantly gone through these cycles of, um, you know, stepping away, like on again, off again, like overindulging, and then kind of taking a step back and cleansing it out, and then being like, okay, I got this, and then kind of re-engaging again, and then getting trapped again, and then being like, all right, no, and stepping back. And it's just been this vicious cycle. How am I going to move forward, like, with this illuminating sense that, like, I don't think there is really a right way to handle media consumption. Or at least I don't really think there's a way to do it and not be addicted. Like, if you are in any sort of way engaging regularly, there's going to be an active addiction when it comes to internet consumption. Um, I I have no fucking idea. Like, I have no idea how to move forward. I have no idea how to handle how I want to use this in my life. It's so integrated into our society. I don't think that not using it is really an option, but I think if you do use it, you're going to be addicted. Like, you're going to actively be struggling with an addiction your whole life. Um yeah, it's a it's it's almost an impossible equation. I will say, the last week or so, I haven't been that busy, and I think that certainly added to the ability for me to overindulge. Like there was plenty of space for it, and so maybe it's something that you really don't struggle with. Like if you are very busy, same thing as smoking. Like if you're on an airplane and you can't smoke, like it doesn't really bother you. You don't really think about it the whole flight because it's not something you can do. It's not even an option. So if you're super busy and you're having to do things where being on your phone or getting on the internet is not an option, yeah, I think but do you want to be that busy all the time? I don't. I definitely need downtime. I don't like to be like, being a certain level of busy is good for me. I do need to have engagement and be on pace with producing things and doing things that are fulfilling. But like, I don't want to be working 13-hour days. I don't want I don't want that for myself. So yeah, that's kind of the end of the journey here. It's gonna keep going, it's gonna keep evolving, but I don't know the answer. I don't know how to do this healthfully. I'm gonna keep figuring it out. But I this is a mental health channel, and that's I'm here and I'm gonna tell you the reality of what is happening. There's a lot that I do really well. I work out regularly, I eat great, I really do the best I can to meditate regularly, get good sleep. But I also fall down all the time. All the time. um I am a preacher. I'm gonna tell you my story. I'm gonna talk about processes and things that I've done that work for me and don't. But I'm not a priest. I don't have all the answers, and I don't think that priests do either. But that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I'm not a guru. So you know, I, I know that in my healing journey, some of the best best things for moving me forward, some of the best tools that I had was listening to other people and their testimonials and hearing about how far they came and hearing about how much grace they gave with themselves when they would fall down, trying things over and over and failing over and over and continuing to go. Those are the things that really helped me on my journey. So I want to give back. That's what I'm here to do. My plan for trying to move forward at this point, knowing what keeps slapping in my face every single time I try to manage my social media internet usage, is the fact that I'm gonna have to keep working on the discipline around not getting on it until later in the day. I think looking back, those are the times when I'm most successful with allowing myself to engage and not doing it in a way that it totally derails me from my goals. Um, there is a car being obnoxious. I will wait. I think they might be done. This is what I'm going to try to do. Keep working on my discipline of not getting on to do any sort of check, internet, social media, email as much as possible, until like really after dinner, if I can manage it. If not after dinner, then maybe like after like 5 p.m. every day. Ideally, the best thing that really works is if I get all the things done that are really important to me, that move me forward, before I ever engage or check on social media. I notice when I get on later in the day too, my dopamine is just, it's in a much healthier position to not be so vulnerable to the traps. I can feel when I get on that, like, I get a little stressed, like there's a little bit of a stress response that comes up, and that compels me to not really want to be on it for that long. So I find that the later in the day that I do it, um, it's much easier to only be on it for, like, the amount of time that serves a purpose. It's also much easier for me to be really conscious and present with my consumption later in the day. I'm much more aware of how I'm training my algorithm with everything that I stop on a scroll and click on. And it's really hard to do, but it can be done, like, really being super aware that every time you click on something, you're telling your algorithm to feed you more of that. If I'm getting on for the, like, 10th time in a day, by the time it's like 5 o'clock, I'm not still, like, in a place of presence with it. It's I'm clicking on things at will, and you know, unconsciously training my algorithm. So yeah, I think just pushing it off till later in the day, the best that I can, is the mission that I'm on right now, and I'm gonna really try to develop a habit and discipline around that. And maybe I'll check back in like a month and let you know how it goes. But um, yeah, it's again, it seems also like I have a lot less guilt getting on it later in the day if I've already done the things that feel really important to me, like working out, working on music, meditating. When those things are like check, done for the day, then there's a release around getting on the internet later in the day. I don't feel kind of, you know, there's still something that's important to me that I need to do, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't get caught on the internet too long and then I don't have dopamine to do those things. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time and attention. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're enjoying my content, you want to hear more about it. I'm gonna keep talking about mental health. That's what I'm here. I am working on kind of narrowing my subjects. I don't know how broad I want to be. I might, if there is something that you are really enjoying that I'm talking about, um, I have bipolar disorder. I have ADHD. I have healed and am continually healing from CPTSD. So those are kind of the things I like to talk about. But overall, general wellness, transformation, those types of topics. But yeah, engage with me if you've watched. I'd love to hear from people and hear what they want to talk about. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.